Tonight, as darkness settles over the world and the first stars begin to pierce the velvet sky, millions of people will step outside, tilt their heads upward, and gaze at something that has captivated humanity for millennia. There it hangs, suspended in the cosmic void like a silver coin tossed by the gods themselves, our moon, serene and eternal, casting its gentle glow across sleeping cities and whispering forests. For as long as humans have walked this earth, we have looked up at that celestial companion with wonder. Ancient poets wrote verses about its mysterious phases. Lovers pledged their hearts beneath its romantic light, and scientists have spent lifetimes trying to unlock its secrets. Children point to it with tiny fingers, asking questions that even the greatest minds struggle to answer completely. But what if everything we think we know about the moon is wrong? What if this faithful companion that has guided sailors across dark oceans and inspired countless songs is not the natural satellite we've always assumed it to be? What if, instead of being a chunk of cosmic debris that happened to fall into Earth's gravitational embrace billions of years ago, the moon is something far stranger, far more deliberate? Tonight, we embark on a journey through one of the most intriguing mysteries that has ever graced our night sky. We'll explore scientific anomalies that have puzzled researchers for decades, ancient stories that suggest humanity once lived under starlight alone, and theories that challenge everything we believe about our place in the cosmos. The moon has kept its secrets for eons, but cracks are beginning to show in the conventional story. Strange readings from space missions, unexplained compositions in lunar samples, and orbital characteristics that seem almost too perfect to be accidental have led some scientists to ask an extraordinary question. Could the moon actually be artificial? As we settle into this exploration together, imagine looking up at that familiar face in the sky with fresh eyes, wondering if what you're seeing is not just a natural world, but perhaps the greatest engineering project ever conceived. Because if the moon is truly natural, why do so many scientists keep finding things that suggest otherwise? When astronomers began studying our solar system with increasingly sophisticated instruments, they expected to find patterns, natural laws governing how planets, moons, and other celestial bodies behave. What they discovered about Earth's moon, however, began to challenge their expectations in ways that continue to spark debate today. Consider this remarkable coincidence that occurs roughly every 18 months somewhere on our planet: a total solar eclipse. For a few precious minutes, day becomes night as the moon slides perfectly between Earth and the sun, blocking out our star's brilliant light with mathematical precision. The moon appears to be exactly the right size and exactly the right distance away to create this spectacular celestial theater. But here's what makes this phenomenon so extraordinary: it's almost impossibly precise. The sun is approximately 400 times larger than the moon, yet it's also roughly 400 times farther away from Earth. This means that from our perspective, both celestial bodies appear nearly identical in size. What are the odds of such perfect proportions occurring naturally? Dr. Isaac Asimov, the renowned scientist and author, once calculated that this precise relationship is so unlikely that it borders on the miraculous. In our solar system, no other moon creates such perfect eclipses for its planet. Mars has two tiny, potato-shaped moons that cast shadows no larger than city blocks. Jupiter's moons are either too small or orbiting too far away to create the dramatic eclipses we witness here on Earth. The moon's orbit itself presents another puzzle that keeps astronomers awake at night. Most natural satellites follow elliptical paths around their planets, swooping closer and farther away in predictable patterns. Our moon, however, maintains an unusually circular orbit, staying at an almost constant distance from Earth. It's as if someone carefully calculated the perfect orbital mechanics to keep it stable and reliable. Then there's the matter of the moon's size relative to Earth, another cosmic anomaly that stands out like a beacon in the darkness of space. While most moons in our solar system are tiny compared to their parent planets, our moon is proportionally enormous. It's about 1/4 the diameter of Earth, making the Earth-Moon system more like a double planet than a traditional planet-satellite relationship. Scientists have also discovered that the moon's density is significantly lower than Earth's, suggesting a composition that doesn't quite match what we might expect from a natural formation. If the moon formed from the same cosmic materials as Earth, Or if it broke away from our planet as some theories suggest, shouldn't its density be more similar to ours? These anomalies might seem like mere cosmic curiosities, interesting footnotes in astronomy textbooks. But when you begin to examine them together, a pattern emerges. A series of characteristics that seem almost deliberately designed for stability, precision, and purpose. It's as if someone wanted to place a large, stable satellite in Earth's sky, positioned just right to create perfect eclipses and maintain a consistent gravitational influence on our planet's tides and rotation. The more scientists studied these peculiarities, the more questions arose. And then came the Apollo missions, revealing something even stranger. The moon might ring like a bell. November 20th, 1969, a date that would forever change how some scientists think about the moon's internal structure. As the Apollo 12 mission prepared to leave the lunar surface, the crew executed a planned impact experiment that would yield one of the most puzzling discoveries in the history of space exploration. The ascent stage of the lunar module, no longer needed after the astronauts had safely returned to the command module orbiting above, was deliberately crashed into the moon's surface. The impact site was carefully chosen, about 40 miles from where sensitive seismometers had been placed during the mission, instruments designed to detect and measure any vibrations that might travel through the lunar interior. What happened next defied all expectations and sent shockwaves through the scientific community that reverberate to this day. Instead of the brief, dampened thud that scientists expected from a solid celestial body, the seismometers detected something extraordinary. The moon began to vibrate like a vast bell, ringing with a deep, resonant tone that continued for nearly an hour. The vibrations didn't quickly fade as they would in a solid, dense object. Instead, they persisted, as if the moon were hollow, or at least contained vast empty spaces within its interior. Dr. Clive Neal, a geologist who has spent decades studying Apollo-era seismic data, described the moment when scientists first analyzed these readings. There was stunned silence in mission control as researchers realized they were witnessing something that challenged fundamental assumptions about planetary formation. The moon was supposed to be a solid, rocky body, perhaps with some variation in density, but certainly not hollow enough to ring like a cosmic bell. The phenomenon wasn't a one-time occurrence. When Apollo 13's third stage was similarly crashed into the lunar surface, the moon rang again, this time for over 3 hours. The vibrations traveled along the surface with minimal damping, suggesting that the moon's interior might be far less dense than anyone had imagined. Imagine the astronauts in orbit above, knowing they had just witnessed something that would puzzle scientists for generations. They had come to the moon expecting to confirm theories about its formation and composition. Instead, they had uncovered evidence that the moon might contain vast hollow spaces, chambers or cavities that allowed sound and vibration to echo and reverberate like sound waves in an empty cathedral. Traditional geological models couldn't easily explain this phenomenon. On Earth, seismic waves from earthquakes or impacts quickly fade as they encounter the dense, varied materials of our planet's interior. The wave patterns show us a world filled with molten iron cores, rocky mantles, and crustal layers that effectively absorb and redirect seismic energy. But the moon seemed to behave differently, almost as if its interior were engineered to allow vibrations to travel freely through hollow or semi-hollow chambers. Some researchers began to wonder if the moon might have a thin outer shell surrounding a largely empty interior, a structure more reminiscent of artificial construction than natural planetary formation. The implications were staggering. If the moon truly contained vast hollow spaces, how did they form? Natural processes typically create dense, solid celestial bodies through gravitational compression. Empty chambers of the size suggested by the seismic data would require some other explanation, perhaps internal melting and evacuation of material, or something even stranger. Years later, as more seismic data accumulated from subsequent missions, the mystery only deepened. The moon's internal structure appeared to be unlike anything else in our solar system, with acoustic properties that suggested a complexity and organization that seemed almost deliberate. But if the moon isn't hollow, why does its very surface seem manufactured? When the first lunar samples arrived at laboratories on Earth, sealed in sterile containers and handled with the reverence reserved for the most precious artifacts. Scientists expected to find familiar materials, the kind of rocks and soil that might tell a straightforward story about the moon's formation and history. What they discovered instead was a surface composition so unusual, so rich in unexpected elements, that it seemed almost engineered for durability and function. The lunar soil, or regolith as scientists call it, contained concentrations of titanium that were unlike anything found naturally on Earth. In some areas, the titanium content was so high that if these materials existed in terrestrial mines, they would be considered incredibly valuable industrial resources. Titanium, prized on Earth for its strength, lightness, and resistance to corrosion, appeared to be abundant across vast stretches of the lunar surface. But titanium isn't typically found in such concentrations in natural planetary formation. On Earth, titanium ore requires specific geological processes to concentrate into mineable deposits. Finding it distributed so widely on the moon's surface suggested processes that scientists couldn't easily explain through conventional planetary geology. Even more puzzling were the tiny glass spheres found scattered throughout lunar soil samples. These perfectly round beads, ranging in color from clear to deep amber, looked remarkably similar to manufactured glass. Under microscopic examination, they appeared to have been formed by intense heat, temperatures far higher than typical volcanic activity could produce. Some researchers noted that the glass beads resembled materials created in high-temperature industrial processes, as if the lunar surface had once been subjected to controlled, intense heating. Dr. Harold Urey, a Nobel Prize-winning chemist who analyzed early Apollo samples, famously expressed his frustration with the moon's confounding chemistry. The samples seemed to contain metallic elements in proportions that challenged his understanding of how natural satellites should form. Iron, aluminum, and other metals appeared in concentrations and combinations that seemed almost purposeful, as if someone had carefully engineered the lunar surface for specific properties. Perhaps most intriguing were the traces of elements that shouldn't have been there at all. Some samples contain metals and compounds that are rare on Earth but would be essential for advanced technological applications, materials that a spacefaring civilization might choose if they were constructing something designed to last for millions of years in the harsh environment of space. The surface also showed signs of being remarkably resistant to the micrometeorite bombardment that constantly pelts airless bodies throughout the solar system. While scientists expected to find evidence of eons of cosmic impacts, the lunar surface seemed almost designed to withstand and deflect such bombardment. The materials appeared to have properties that helped them resist the gradual erosion that should have worn down surface features over billions of years. NASA scientists struggled to reconcile these findings with conventional theories of lunar formation. If the moon had formed from the same primordial materials as Earth, or if it had broken away from our planet during a massive impact event, the surface chemistry should have been more similar to what we find in terrestrial rocks. Instead, the lunar surface seemed to represent a unique blend of materials, almost as if it had been designed for specific environmental conditions. Some researchers began to whisper about the possibility that the lunar surface showed signs of artificial enhancement or modification. The precise distribution of useful metals, the abundance of materials prized for their technological applications, and the surface's remarkable durability all seemed to point towards some form of engineering or design. The glass beads, in particular, continued to puzzle geologists. Their perfect spherical shape, their distribution across the lunar surface, and their formation temperatures all suggested processes that went beyond simple volcanic activity or impact melting. They looked, to some scientists' eyes, remarkably similar to industrial byproducts, the kind of materials that might be created during large-scale manufacturing or construction processes. And the deeper scientists dug into lunar samples, examining them with increasingly sophisticated analytical techniques. The stranger the moon became. Long before telescopes pierced the cosmic veil and spacecraft carried humans to other worlds, ancient civilizations around the globe kept meticulous records of the night sky. They tracked stellar movements with remarkable precision, noted the appearances of comets and meteors, and passed down through generations their observations of celestial phenomena. Among these ancient records lies a collection of stories so consistent across cultures and continents that modern researchers have begun to take them seriously. Tales that suggest humanity once lived under a sky without a moon. In the dusty archives of ancient Sumerian texts, carved into clay tablets over 5,000 years ago, scholars have found references to a time before the moon godson came to watch over the night. These weren't mythological stories or poetic metaphors, but records kept by astronomers who tracked celestial events with the dedication of modern scientists. The Sumerians, who gave us the first known written language and sophisticated mathematical systems, described a period when the night sky contained only stars and planets, no large, bright orb to dominate the darkness. Halfway around the world, the Zulu people of southern Africa maintained oral traditions that spoke of a time when the sky was darker, and the stars were our only companions in the night. Their stories, passed down through countless generations of skilled storytellers, described the moon's arrival as a momentous event that changed the rhythm of life on Earth. According to Zulu tradition, the moon was brought to the sky by visitors from the stars who wanted to provide a light to guide humanity through the dark hours. Even more intriguing are the ancient Greek writings, particularly the works attributed to Aristotle and other classical scholars who had access to even older records. They wrote about a people called the Proselenes, literally meaning before the moon, who claimed their ancestors had witnessed the arrival of the lunar orb. These weren't considered mythological beings, but actual, historical peoples whose cultural memory extended back to pre-lunar times. The consistency of these accounts across such vast distances and different civilizations has captured the attention of researchers who specialize in ancient astronomical records. Dr. George Michanowski, who spent decades studying Mesopotamian astronomical texts, noted that ancient civilizations were remarkably accurate in their celestial observations. They tracked planetary movements, predicted eclipses, and maintained calendars based on stellar positions with precision that often rivals modern calculations. If these civilizations were so careful and accurate in their other astronomical observations, why would they all share similar mythological accounts about the moon's arrival unless they were recording actual historical events? The ancient Hindu texts, particularly the Puranas, contain detailed descriptions of cosmic events that some researchers interpret as historical accounts of major changes in the Earth-Moon system. These texts describe a time when the cosmic order was different, when the forces that govern tides and seasons followed patterns that no longer exist. Perhaps most compelling are the Native American traditions, particularly those of the Hopi and other southwestern tribes, which speak of the Great Placement, when the Silver Guardian was set in the sky to watch over Earth's children. These stories weren't written down until modern times, but they had been preserved through oral tradition for centuries, maintaining remarkable consistency in their details about the moon's arrival and its immediate effects on Earth's environment. What makes these ancient accounts particularly intriguing is their descriptions of the environmental changes that supposedly accompanied the moon's arrival. Many cultures describe massive tidal disruptions, changes in seasonal patterns, and alterations in the length of days and nights. These descriptions align surprisingly well with what modern scientists predict would happen if a large satellite were suddenly introduced into Earth's gravitational field. Archaeological evidence has also begun to support the possibility that human civilizations experienced some kind of major environmental disruption several thousand years ago. Evidence of massive flooding, sudden climate changes, and the abandonment of coastal settlements around the world all date to roughly the same period when many cultures claim the moon appeared in the sky. The ancient astronomical calendar systems also provide clues that researchers are only beginning to understand. Many early civilizations had calendar systems based on stellar movements and solar cycles, but not lunar phases. The incorporation of lunar calendars seems to have occurred relatively recently in human history, suggesting that the moon's regular phases might not have been available to guide early timekeeping systems. But if cultures remembered the moon's arrival, and if their detailed astronomical records can be trusted, then who or what possessed the power and technology to place such a massive object in Earth's orbit. But if cultures remembered the moon's arrival, and if their detailed astronomical records can be trusted, then who, or what, possessed the power and technology to place such a massive object in Earth's orbit? In 1970, two Soviet scientists working at the Academy of Sciences in Moscow published a paper that would ignite one of the most fascinating debates in modern astronomy. Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov, both respected researchers in their fields, proposed what seemed like an impossible hypothesis, that the moon might actually be an artificial satellite, constructed by an advanced civilization and deliberately placed in Earth's orbit. Their theory, which came to be known as the spaceship moon hypothesis, wasn't based on science fiction fantasies or wild speculation. Instead, Vasin and Sherbakov had carefully analyzed the growing list of lunar anomalies that conventional theories struggled to explain. They approached the problem like engineers reverse engineering an unknown technology, asking not whether the moon could be artificial, but rather what design principles might explain its unusual characteristics. Consider the moon's orbital mechanics from an engineering perspective. If you wanted to place a large satellite in orbit around Earth, you would choose a circular path that minimized gravitational stress and maintained stable positioning over geological timescales. You would position it at a distance that allowed it to influence Earth's tides and rotational stability without causing catastrophic environmental disruption. You would ensure that its gravitational effects helped stabilize your planet's axial tilt, maintaining consistent seasonal patterns that would support the development of complex life. The moon's orbit possesses all of these characteristics with remarkable precision. Its circular path, consistent distance, and gravitational influence seem almost perfectly calibrated to support Earth's environmental stability. The odds of such precision occurring through random natural processes, Vasin and Sherbakov argued, were astronomically small. Their analysis went deeper into the moon's physical characteristics. If you were constructing an artificial satellite designed to last for millions of years, you would need to balance several engineering challenges. The structure would need to be large enough to provide significant gravitational influence, but not so dense that it would be impossible to maneuver into position. You would want a shell strong enough to withstand meteorite impacts and cosmic radiation, filled with whatever internal structures served your purposes. A hollow or semi-hollow sphere with a reinforced titanium-rich shell would be an elegant solution to these engineering requirements. It would provide maximum volume with minimal mass, allowing for easier transport and positioning while maintaining structural integrity. The internal spaces could house whatever equipment, facilities, or purposes the artificial satellite was designed to serve. The Soviet scientists noted that many of the moon's puzzling characteristics made perfect sense from an engineering standpoint. The unusual seismic properties suggesting internal hollow spaces could indicate deliberate internal architecture. The surface composition rich in titanium and other durable metals could represent a carefully designed shell material chosen for its resistance to cosmic weathering and impact damage. Even the moon's perfect eclipse-creating relationship with the sun took on new meaning in their hypothesis. If you wanted to provide a spectacular celestial display for observers on Earth, perhaps as a gift, a sign, or a demonstration of technological capability, engineering perfect solar eclipses would be an elegant way to accomplish this goal. Their theory gained unexpected support from the Apollo program's discoveries. The hollow-sounding seismic readings, the unusual surface chemistry, and the moon's surprisingly low density, all aligned with what you might expect from a large artificial structure rather than a natural celestial body. Vasin and Sherbakov's work inspired other researchers to examine the moon through the lens of possible artificial construction. Dr. Don Wilson, an American researcher, expanded on their ideas in his book, Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon, presenting additional evidence that seemed to support the artificial satellite hypothesis. Wilson noted that the moon's behavior in Earth's gravitational field was remarkably stable for such a large satellite, as if it had been precisely positioned and balanced. The theory even provided potential explanations for some of the moon's most puzzling characteristics. The Maria, or seas, on the lunar surface could represent landing or construction sites where the moon's builders had left their marks. The strange glass beads scattered across the surface could be byproducts of high-energy construction or manufacturing processes. Critics pointed out the enormous scale of such a project. Moving an object the size of the moon would require energy resources beyond anything humanity could currently imagine. But proponents of the artificial satellite theory responded that any civilization capable of such engineering would necessarily possess technology so advanced that current human understanding couldn't comprehend their methods or capabilities. And if the moon is artificial, if it really represents the greatest engineering project ever conceived, then one question becomes unavoidable. What purpose could it possibly serve? If we accept, even for a moment, the possibility that the moon might be an artificial construction, then we must grapple with perhaps the most intriguing question of all. Why would an advanced civilization undertake such a monumental project? What purpose could justify the enormous resources and sophisticated technology required to place a satellite the size of the moon in Earth's orbit? The first and most compelling possibility is that the moon serves as a cosmic guardian, carefully designed to protect and nurture life on Earth. Our planet's relationship with its satellite creates a delicate balance that makes our world uniquely hospitable to complex life. Without the moon's gravitational influence, Earth would wobble chaotically on its axis, creating wild climate swings that would make the development of stable ecosystems nearly impossible. Consider how the moon acts as Earth's stabilizing influence, preventing our planet from tilting too far in any direction. This stability gives us our predictable seasons, our reliable weather patterns, and the environmental consistency that allowed life to evolve from simple organisms into the complex biosphere we see today. If you were an advanced civilization that wanted to create optimal conditions for life to develop on a particular world, engineering such a stabilizing satellite would be an elegant solution. The moon's role in creating Earth's tides also provides crucial benefits for the development of life. The rhythmic rising and falling of ocean levels creates intertidal zones where early life forms could gradually adapt to terrestrial conditions. Many scientists believe that these tidal pools served as evolutionary laboratories where life first learned to survive outside the ocean. An artificial moon could have been positioned precisely to create these beneficial tidal effects. But perhaps the moon serves an even more active purpose as a cosmic laboratory or observation station. Its hollow interior, suggested by Apollo seismic readings, could house vast facilities for monitoring Earth's development, conducting experiments, or maintaining equipment that influences our planet's environment in subtle ways. From the moon's position, observers would have an ideal vantage point to watch the evolution of life on Earth, documenting the rise and fall of species, the development of intelligence, and the progress of civilization. Some researchers have speculated that the moon might function as a massive database or time capsule, preserving the history and knowledge of its builders for future discovery. The internal spaces could contain libraries of information about galactic civilizations, maps of habitable worlds, or instructions for other species that achieve spaceflight capability. The moon's position ensures that any civilization developing on Earth would eventually notice its anomalous properties and investigate further. Another intriguing possibility is that the moon serves as a beacon or communication relay, part of a galaxy-spanning network of artificial satellites that allow advanced civilizations to maintain contact across vast distances. Its precise positioning and stable orbit would make it an ideal platform for transmitting or receiving signals across interstellar space. The perfect eclipse relationship with the sun might even serve as a form of cosmic signaling, announcing to other civilizations that Earth hosts intelligent life. The moon could also function as a sort of cosmic nursery, designed to shepherd the development of life and intelligence on Earth through its most vulnerable stages. Once a civilization reaches sufficient technological advancement, perhaps marked by achieving lunar exploration, the moon might activate dormant systems or reveal hidden knowledge that helps guide the species toward becoming a successful spacefaring civilization. Some of the more speculative theories suggest that the moon might serve as an actual spaceship, a massive generation ship designed to transport its builders across the galaxy. In this scenario, the moon arrived in our solar system carrying refugees or explorers from a distant world, who decided to establish a monitoring station in Earth's orbit while they wait for our planet's native intelligence to develop sufficiently to make contact. Consider the tides, perhaps the moon's most visible daily influence on our planet. Twice each day, the moon's gravity pulls Earth's oceans toward it, creating the rhythmic rising and falling of sea levels that we observe along every coastline. These tides do far more than simply move water. They create unique ecological zones where life learned to transition from ocean to land. The intertidal zones, alternately submerged and exposed, served as evolutionary laboratories where early organisms developed the adaptations necessary to survive in both aquatic and terrestrial environments. Marine life throughout Earth's oceans synchronizes its reproductive cycles with lunar phases. From coral spawning events that occur only during specific moon phases to the nocturnal feeding patterns of countless species that time their activities to the moon's light cycles. The gravitational tides also help circulate nutrients through ocean ecosystems, preventing stagnation and maintaining the dynamic flow of materials that supports marine food chains. The moon's influence extends beyond biology to the very geology of our planet. Tidal forces help drive plate tectonics, the slow movement of Earth's crustal plates that creates mountains, ocean basins, and the continental configurations that shape our world's climate patterns. Without these tidal stresses, Earth's geological processes might be far less active, potentially creating a world with less diverse topography and fewer of the environmental niches that support biodiversity. Perhaps most remarkably, the moon may have played a crucial role in the origin of life itself. Some theories suggest that the tidal mixing created by lunar gravity helped concentrate the organic molecules necessary for the first self-replicating systems. The regular cycling between wet and dry conditions in tidal pools might have provided the environmental pressure that drove the chemical evolution leading to the first living cells. The moon's presence also affects Earth's rotation in subtle but important ways. Over geological time, tidal friction has gradually slowed Earth's rotation, lengthening our days from perhaps 6 hours in the early solar system to the 24-hour cycle we know today. This slowing rotation has created more moderate temperature differences between day and night, making Earth more hospitable to life forms that require stable environmental conditions. Even our planet's magnetic field, which protects us from harmful solar radiation, may be influenced by the moon's presence. The gravitational interactions between Earth and Moon help maintain the dynamic processes in our planet's molten core that generate the magnetic field surrounding our world. Without this protective magnetic bubble, Earth's atmosphere might have been stripped away by solar wind, leaving us with a barren, radiation-scorched surface like Mars. The psychological and cultural impacts of the moon on human civilization cannot be ignored either. Our lunar companion has guided human timekeeping systems for millennia, provided light for nocturnal activities, and inspired art, poetry, and spiritual practices across every culture on Earth. The reliability of lunar phases gave our ancestors their first accurate calendar systems, enabling the agricultural planning that made civilization possible. That if the moon truly is an artificial construction, then its builders demonstrated not only incredible technological capability, but also profound wisdom about the requirements for nurturing life. Every aspect of the moon's influence on Earth seems perfectly calibrated to support the development of complex ecosystems and intelligent civilizations. The precision of this influence raises profound questions about intentionality versus coincidence. Could random natural processes really have produced a satellite so perfectly suited to supporting life on Earth? The moon's size, distance, orbital characteristics, and gravitational influence seem almost too ideally suited for their life-supporting role to be purely accidental. Yet, even if the moon formed through entirely natural processes, its presence represents one of the most fortunate cosmic coincidences in the universe. The development of complex life might be exceedingly rare throughout the cosmos precisely because most planets lack such perfectly positioned satellites to stabilize their environments and nurture biological evolution, whether artificial or natural, whether the product of ancient engineering or cosmic serendipity. The moon stands as an essential component of the Earth system that made our existence possible. Every breath we take, every sunset we witness, Every season we experience occurs within the context of our planet's delicate relationship with its mysterious companion in the sky. And so, as we gaze up at that familiar face in the darkness above, the ultimate riddle remains tantalizingly unsolved. As our journey through the enigma of the moon draws to a close, we find ourselves standing at the shore of an ocean of questions that may never be fully answered. Like ancient sailors studying the horizon, we have followed the evidence as far as our current knowledge allows. Yet the most profound mysteries remain tantalizingly beyond our reach. Tonight, as you step outside and look up at that silver orb hanging in the velvet darkness, you carry with you a new appreciation for the depth of mystery that surrounds our lunar companion. What once seemed like a simple, familiar sight, Earth's natural satellite dutifully lighting the night sky, now reveals itself as something far stranger, far more complex, and infinitely more intriguing. The scientific evidence we have examined presents us with a fascinating paradox. On one hand, we have compelling theories about how the moon could have formed through natural processes. The giant impact hypothesis suggests that a Mars-sized object struck the early Earth, ejecting material that eventually coalesced into our satellite. Computer simulations can model this process with increasing sophistication, showing how such a collision might explain many of the moon's characteristics. Yet on the other hand, we have those persistent anomalies that refuse to fit neatly into any natural formation theory. The perfect eclipse relationship that seems too precise to be coincidental. The seismic properties suggesting internal hollow spaces. The unusual surface chemistry rich in elements that would be prized for their technological applications. The orbital characteristics that seem almost engineered for stability and beneficial influence on Earth's environment. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the vast spectrum between purely natural and completely artificial. Maybe the moon formed through natural cosmic processes, but was later modified or enhanced by advanced intelligence. Or perhaps natural formation occurred under the guidance of beings who could predict and influence cosmic events on scales we cannot yet comprehend. The ancient cultural records we have explored add another layer of mystery to our lunar puzzle. The consistency of stories about the moon's arrival across distant civilizations suggests that these accounts might preserve genuine historical memories rather than mere mythological inventions. If humanity did indeed witness the moon's appearance in our sky, then the artificial satellite hypothesis gains compelling support from the most ancient of all evidence. Human memory passed down through generations of storytellers. Yet we must also acknowledge that memory is fallible, that myths can spread across cultures through trade and communication, and that humans have always been inclined to create stories that explain the mysterious aspects of their world. The ancient accounts of the moon's arrival might represent attempts to explain a cosmic mystery rather than historical records of actual events. The engineering perspective provided by scientists like Vassin and Sherbakov offers a provocative lens through which to examine the moon's properties. When we consider what characteristics we would design into an artificial satellite intended to support life on Earth, the moon's features seem remarkably well suited to that purpose. But is this evidence of intentional design, or are we seeing patterns where none exist, reading purpose into coincidence like clouds that seem to form familiar shapes? Modern science continues to probe the moon's secrets with increasingly sophisticated instruments and analytical techniques. Each new discovery adds pieces to the puzzle, yet the complete picture remains frustratingly elusive. Future missions may finally provide the definitive evidence needed to resolve the question of the moon's origin once and for all. Imagine the moment when humanity might definitively answer whether the moon is natural or artificial. If we discover that our lunar companion formed through entirely natural processes, we would be witnessing one of the most fortunate cosmic coincidences in the universe. A satellite so perfectly positioned and proportioned that it created ideal conditions for the evolution of complex life. Such a discovery would remind us of our incredible good fortune to exist in a universe where such beneficial accidents are possible. But consider the alternative scenario. Imagine if future exploration revealed clear evidence that the moon is indeed an artificial construction. Such a discovery would represent the most profound moment in human history, confirming that we are not alone in the universe and never have been. It would mean that advanced intelligence has been watching over Earth's development for millions or billions of years, carefully nurturing the conditions that allowed human civilization to emerge. Either revelation would fundamentally change our understanding of our place in the cosmos. Whether we are the beneficiaries of extraordinary cosmic luck or the protected children of ancient guardians, we exist within a universe far more wondrous and mysterious than we currently comprehend. The moon continues to inspire new questions with each passing year. As our technology advances and our understanding of planetary formation deepens, we may discover that the moon's anomalies have natural explanations we cannot currently imagine. Or we might uncover evidence that our lunar companion harbors secrets that will revolutionize our understanding of intelligence and civilization in the universe. Whatever the ultimate truth may be, the moon serves as a constant reminder that the cosmos holds mysteries that challenge our assumptions and expand our imagination. In a universe where planets ring like bells, where perfect eclipses mark the passage of time, and where ancient stories whisper of impossible engineering projects, we are reminded that reality often exceeds the boundaries of our current understanding. As we conclude this exploration into one of the night sky's most enduring mysteries, take comfort in knowing that the questions we have raised will likely outlive us all. Future generations will continue to study the moon's secrets, armed with technologies we cannot yet imagine and perspectives shaped by discoveries yet to be made. The moon remains humanity's most accessible cosmic mystery, close enough to touch with robotic explorers, yet still distant enough to keep its greatest secrets. Whether it represents the masterwork of ancient engineers or the fortunate accident that made life on Earth possible, it stands as a testament to the wonder and mystery that pervades our universe. Perhaps, one day, we will discover the complete truth about our enigmatic companion. We might find ancient machinery humming quietly within lunar caverns, or uncover definitive proof that natural processes alone shaped our satellite's remarkable properties. Until that day arrives, we can find peace in the mystery itself, in the knowledge that above us hangs a celestial puzzle that connects us to the deepest questions about existence, intelligence, and our place in the cosmic story. Every night, as darkness settles over the Earth and that familiar silver light begins to paint shadows across the landscape, the moon continues its ancient vigil. Whether it watches with the electronic sensors of an artificial construction or merely reflects sunlight from a natural rocky surface, it serves as humanity's constant companion in the vast loneliness of space. Tonight, when you see the moon rising above the horizon, remember that you are looking at one of the universe's greatest unsolved mysteries. Let its light carry you gently towards sleep, knowing that somewhere in the cosmos, whether in the moon itself or in distant star systems beyond our imagination, answers wait patiently to be discovered by curious minds willing to question the nature of everything they see. Perhaps, one day, we'll discover the truth. Until then, every night we look up at the sky, the moon stares back, whispering secrets we cannot yet hear, holding mysteries that may be the key to understanding our true place in the infinite tapestry of existence.